Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Woo! The sensation, Jason Gavin!
Danmark har fået en ny verdensmester. Mikkel Tesla. He's the fucking champion of the world. Mikkel, man.
Welcome everyone to the 121st edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. It is the 19th of April. This is your host Andy Patterson. No Americans on the show today, which is unfortunate because most of the best action from last night came from America. But on the show today I've got Kurt Ward, Adam Smith and Alex Morris. I want the guys in the mix to play nice with Adam today. None of this Adam out campaign, please. Adam's a very, very valuable member of this team. Now guys, obviously we're talking about the fight coming up last week there, Matthysse against Provodnikov. We did think it maybe end in a stoppage. I think Dave the Hater actually had Matthysse winning on decision as well. But last night we had a very, very good fight. I mean, obviously we just discussed off there that Provodnikov, just a come forward hard bastard. Matthysse just picked him off with some good combinations, some good power shots as well, cut him off hard bastard, badly disfigured face. And as I was saying off earlier, Kurt, as well, is you just wonder how much damage Provodnikov took there last night, but still he kept coming forward and basically had Matthysse hanging on in the 12th round.
Yeah, I mean, we're saying off air, he's pretty limited, Provodnikov, but he's just got so much heart, and his chin is incredible. He just never stops coming. He takes your best shots and he laughs. I mean, it must be so disheartening to fighters when they just land such a good shot on him. I mean, Matthysse was landing those uppercuts on him every time, be like Mike Alvarado did in their fight, and he just laughs at you and keeps coming. His face busts up straight away, a bit like Arturo Gatti, who he was a bit like the way he fights. He's never say die attitude, and he's one of those fighters, Provodnikov. A loss doesn't really hurt him. Other fighters, who are more boxing ability and technical, they can be boring to some. If they take a loss, it's hard for them to get on TV again unless they're with a big promoter. But with Provodnikov, he's such an exciting guy. He loses, he doesn't matter. I mean, people want to see him. He's a fun fighter, and it's the same with Matthysse. He's had a few losses, but no one really cares about them. These guys, we knew it was going to gel well, and it was hard to pick a win. I mean, you knew it was going to be exciting. You knew bombs were going to fly and level was going to land, and it was hard to pick a win. I mean, I went with Matthysse, but it's such a tough fight to call, and I thought for the most part he boxed excellently. He controlled the fight. He was the better boxer, but was he going to be able to stick to that boxing, or was he going to get dragged into a toe-to-toe war, which not many people can get away with someone like Provodnikov? And like I said, for the most part he boxed really well. I thought he added slight movement, which just that bit of movement just gave Provodnikov a lot of trouble. The jab was constantly there, giving him something to think about, stopping him from just walking straight up to him. like I said, the uppercut I thought was brilliant landing, and the first 2 rounds, I mean, I didn't know how long it was going to go because his face looked like he'd been in a car wreck. I mean, I think Bernard Hopkins said, his heart might hold up, but his face won't. But he slowly got himself back into it, and in the end, I think I had it 116, 112 from Matthysse. I don't think it was that close a fight. It was a fun, one-sided fight for the most part, I thought, and Matthisse's got himself back now into like the big fights again, and there's a lot of options for him. I mean, people are talking about Terence Crawford, who we'll talk about, but there's other options as well, and now he's free from Al Heyman. He can work with other people as well, hopefully, and yeah, I was really impressed with Matthysse last night.
Yeah, I was impressed as well, actually. I mean, at the same time as he says, the best thing for him not to do was not to get basically involved in a war. There was instances there last night, a couple of times when he got dragged down. You actually had his corner kind of pleading with him just to kind of stick to his boxing. I think he did show as well as his amateur background. Just some of the movements, some of the combinations were absolutely fantastic, especially the uppercut. Adam, 114 on one of the judges' scorecard, 115, 113 twice from Matthysse. How did you score the fight, mate?
I think I was doing it loosely, but I gave Provodnikov 3 rounds. I think 4, 11, and one other. So that's how I saw it. I really enjoyed Matthysse last night. I thought, especially early first half of the fight, he put his combinations together well, chopping punches, right up top, left up to the body, stuff like that. And he showed. We thought beforehand he had the better boxing ability. I just thought it was a question of whose chin was going to crack first, kind of thing. And Matthysse really did throw some hard shots in the first half of the fight, and Provodnikov just relentless in coming forward. It must be, as we've said before about Provodnikov, it must be mentally tough to fight him, especially when Matthysse is a come forward fighter anyway normally. So it would have had to been a change of tact from the get go, and then to stick to that change of tact throughout. Being more disciplined than he was. I liked it when he was in close. When he was at medium range, he was getting caught with Provodnikov left hook on the way out. But I definitely thought the scorecards were a bit closer than what they should have been. The right result at the end of the day. So I was happy with that. And yeah, like Kurt says, Provodnikov will go on to get some. He'll get a few fights just because he's a fun fighter. And Matthysse, I was watching it, having already watched Crawford earlier in the night. I was watching it thinking, I don't know how Crawford would deal with Matthysse, to be honest, and vice versa. And as such, that's a good fight that should get made.
Definitely. Alex, do you want to see Crawford against Matthysse next?
Yeah, I mean, it's the one fight really that they can make at the moment, politics withstanding. Obviously Garcia and Peterson are elsewhere. I wouldn't mind seeing the Matthysse-Garcia rematch, obviously, because Matthysse has looked so strong and Garcia's just looked so awful since their initial fight. I mean, yeah, I think Garcia won that pretty clearly, but Matthysse had his spots. I mean, obviously he had that eye injury that inhibited him quite a lot, but I think Matthysse has shown been a bit more developmental as a boxer recently. So that's an interesting fight for me. I think that Terence Crawford, the fight against him would, you've got to really back Crawford in a fight like that because he's just looked sensational, hasn't he? I mean, we'll talk about him, I imagine, a bit later, but it'd be a good test for Crawford himself because I don't think he's really faced that many serious punches. Obviously, he went against Gamboa, but Gamboa wasn't really at his best weight, and his power wasn't really, out there as much. Whereas Matthysse, he is a solid 140 pounder. He is a big puncher, and we'll see that against Crawford. The fight itself, I was very impressed with Matthysse. I really liked just the combinations that he threw in the early rounds, and the fact that he just had a jab. His jab worked, and it set up all the other punches for him. Provodnikov didn't. His jab was his face. He just stuck his face out to test the range. He'd stick his face out to parry a punch. His face was the ultimate defence, and despite the fact it looked like, I saw a funny comment saying it looked like Kelly Maloney post-op, then, it was... It was quite brutal for poor old Provodnikov, but he's just made of iron, isn't he? He is quite literally the real Rocky. Kurt compared him to Gatti as well, and that's a fair comparison, I'd say. With very limited fighter, he's not going to go far, but he's going to be entertaining to watch, and you will watch him because he's just all balls, all heart, and he's not going to stop fucking throwing punches at you.
I think Matthysse stated that he hurt his hand or broke one of his hands in the 6th round and stuff. Now, we were talking off air, guys, about Provodnikov. Now, I know he's said that he's probably he would get fights against other guys. He would be definitely a good test for some up and comers. But the thing is this, we've all seen the picture of the piss test, and it's literally black. Obviously there's been some damage here. It's pretty brutal stuff. It took a lot of brutal punishment there last night. I don't think we should be looking at Provodnikov getting in the ring with some killer again, like say your Rios or whatever and stuff. It's going to have to be gently back for him, I think, because one too many wars, and I think last night, guys, I think that's just pushed him beyond his peak.
I just was a little bit concerned last night as well. I know I know he's busy at the minute, but Freddie Roach, how much work has Provodnikov been doing with him of late? I know he's out of that gym, but how much work has he actually been doing with the master? I would wonder.
Sorry, I'm just looking at my details here, and I'll leave that one to last.
Sorry, I was going to say, what do you think about the fact Matthysse really slowed down late on in the fight? I mean, do you think it was him being more conservative, or do you think he was gassed and the pressure was getting to him? Is that an issue for him, do you think?
Well, see, boss, I think Matthysse showed a really good chin there last night. So you're talking about Matthysse, sorry, mate?
Yeah, Matthysse, the fact that, he was just looked really shit down the stretch and he was holding.
He did. Well, he was badly hurt, I think it was on the 11th round.
He got really badly.
He was badly hurt there. So I can understand, he put a lot of effort into that fight. I think it was over 1,000 punches he threw. 12th round, you can understand someone having gone over 30 minutes of fighting at that pace. I really don't think the hold was excessive, do you?
What, Matthysse?
I mean, not in that situation.
Frig was complaining, but he was doing a lot of holding and stuff.
Oh, he's just bitching because his boy got beat.
No. I mean, look, in the last couple of rounds, listen, he took a big shot and he was hurt slightly, so that's holding. But I thought he used clinching now and again as a good weapon against Provodnikov. To be honest, it's not like he was just holding. He'd get his shots off, and sometimes he'd hold together. I mean, Provodnikov never complained about it, and it was like I don't think it was anything excessive. It was just sometimes he was trying to manoeuvre Provodnikov to where he wanted him to go, and sometimes fighters use it, and as long as it's not excessive, or if it is and it's a problem, then the other fighter and his trainer should be on at the referee. But I don't think they had any issues with it, and Provodnikov didn't mention it at all afterwards. He just said, the better man won, so I don't see any problem with that.
Any closing thoughts, Adam, before we move on to Terence Crawford's fight?
Let's move on to Crawford so we can wax lyrical about his ability.
Definitely, mate. I'll go straight to you anyway. He looked very, very thick there last night. He was very, very slick, healthy, very, very quick as well. 140 is certainly going to be Crawford's bedstay for the next 18 months at least. He did do what I expected to do. I've never really rated Delorme, actually, in all honesty, and how he got a world title shot off the back of it is another topic. But guys, I need to ask, with that performance last night, and considering it is only his first fight, Adam, do you think he deserves to go in at number 1 at 140, seeing as Garcia's now practically vacated?
Yeah, especially with the latter point about Garcia. Probably needs a couple. I think by the end of the year, I think he'll be the man at at 140. There's fights that he's not in the especially with the two guys moving away from it who fought last week, Peterson and Garcia. They're with the Heyman cartel. That would leave a lot of the 140 division, the top kids at the 140 division, not with Heyman. So we could possibly get some good fights made. I think he's quite active. Crawford, he'll still fight, probably fight twice again this year. He was obviously, fighter of the year in a lot of people's eyes last year. I thought he was fantastic last night. I know Delorme, had not really got many stellar names on his record, but I had a look through last week, and he's took the scalp of some, pretty decent yardsticks on the American scene. I think Henry Lundy was on there, people like that. So, it was a decent, test for Crawford's first go at 140. Thought he was superb, and I like that he's got the killer instincts as well. He's obviously, fabulous boxer with his jabbing and, speed and footwork. I liked how last night that he stayed orthodox for the majority instead of southpaw. Obviously he'll use that to his advantage if and when the opponent, when there's the opportunity to use it against an opponent. But I liked how he stayed orthodox in the main last night. And I liked how he went in for the kill. I'm not going to compare him to that level yet, but we see with Floyd Mayweather, I think the main flaw with him is he don't knock enough people out, and he's a fabulous boxer. Crawford goes to knock people out, and I think he, even up at 140, carries legitimate power.
Certainly a good addition anyway. I mean, I think Delorme, he came out there pretty quick, trying to kind of put pressure on Crawford, but I think by the second round, certainly by the third round anyway, Crawford had his timing down spot on and spark out with the right hand in the sixth round. Would you agree that he's probably number one in that division, or is it maybe too soon? Does he need another couple of more opponents?
It's hard to say. I mean, he's only fought there once. I mean, I think on ability, he probably is anyway, but people say, you have to obviously beat the guys there to prove it. So, I mean, I don't know. It's probably, I'd say one fight too soon. We need to see him in with another guy, I reckon. But I thought Delorme started really well. He was giving Crawford a lot to think about. But I think, like you say, he was getting his time in. He looked so relaxed in there. I had him 2 rounds. He lost the first 2 rounds, I thought, because he didn't really do much. He was just waiting for that one shot. I think he knew he could get to him with the right hand. And Delorme, he's been stuck before, and I think they were waiting for him to just slow down a little bit. There was no, he wasn't eager at all to get the job done. He was just, going about his business slowly, and then that jab and right hand, I mean, it came out of nowhere. It was so quick. I mean, once that landed, you knew straight away this isn't going to go on much longer. I mean, Crawford he came from nowhere when he beat Brady's Prescott. And, people were saying we need to see him, because as soon as he beat Prescott, a lot of the American fight fans were saying, oh, this guy's special and everything. But, we were more reserved, saying we need to see him against. And, he's proven everyone, that this guy, he's special, I think. And they're talking about Matthysse could be next to him. I think Matthysse gets badly beaten in that fight, to be fair to him. And Matthysse, he'll give everything. He always does, but I think that's a bad start for Crawford, and Crawford will show, and when he beats Matthysse easily, I think, he'll be even more respected. And I just think this guy's going to be very hard to beat at those weights. I think he's such a big guy as well. It won't be long before he's moving up again.
Same question. You, Alex, number one?
I don't think you can really rate him number one after just beating Thomas Delorme. Obviously, it was a very good performance. It was a very measured and patient performance, and we've come to expect that from Terence Crawford. But you can't rate him number one. But the problem is, who do you rate number one at 140 at the moment? Because the little triangle theory of Matthysse, Garcia, and Peterson fucks all of that up. Because Matthysse absolutely destroyed Peterson, and then Peterson beat Garcia in most people's eyes, and Garcia beat Matthysse. So where do you go with that? How do you rate one guy over the other? So I think that although Crawford he looks better than all 3 of those guys at the moment, especially after all the most recent performances, I don't think you can do it based on resume alone. But I do think he does beat Matthysse, but I do think Matthysse got a chance, because Crawford can, and as he showed last night, he starts quite slowly, he takes his time, and again, to compare him to Mayweather, he's very measured in the first couple of rounds. He times his opponents. I think that Delorme showed a really good jab last night, and Crawford had to take a couple of rounds to understand that jab and know how to beat it. And when he did, and when he knew how to time it, he beat the shit out of him. So and it's good to see a patient fighter like that. And maybe Lucas Matthysse will catch Crawford cold. We've only seen him in really with one big puncher, and that was Brady's Prescott. But Brady's Prescott, as we know, has already had several losses at that point. He'd been embarrassed by Kevin Mitchell, and various others at that point. He probably didn't land that many shots on Crawford, whereas Matthysse, I think, will land at least a couple in the early rounds, unless Crawford changes the game up, which he seems to be able to do. He seems like he's got so many plans and so much of an arsenal in his in his repertoire, that I think that we'll see even more of him and more of his ability in the different challenges that he faces. And I think Matthysse definitely offers a new challenge.
I think another point on Crawford, is he was a lot better in front of the camera, I thought, last night. And I watched there was the video.
But a showboating as well last night.
There was a little bit, yeah. And there was a build-up YouTube video with HBO that I saw that was, he was a lot better in front of the camera. Because I remember when he came over for Ricky Burns, he was almost, I think obviously going to Scotland for the first time, etc., might have been a bit weird for him, but he was really awkward in front of the camera, and so yeah, a lot better from him, and there really is potential to build him into a star.
Just to let the listeners know, I think we're getting some problems with Alex sound. Is that right, Kurt?
Yeah, I think he's quite quiet again. It's something to do with Mixler. It's not his actual mic, because we can hear him fine. It's the Mixler.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. It's technical difficulties with that one. Just looking at the light welterweight rankings, guys. Now, obviously, Alex mentioned the fact is, who do you rank number one? Now, obviously, I think Garcia is still going to be universally recognised by the Ring magazine as number one just now, I think. But looking at it, I mean, it really is standing out. I mean, obviously, there's obviously Matthysse is a potential fight, but just looking at it, there's really nothing there. I mean, a potential fight with Jesse Vargas. Dave the Hater was telling me that Amir Iman looked good last night. I don't know if he's with Top Rank or whoever he's with. And one fight's definitely never going to happen. It's going to be Adrian Broner, so you're probably going to be even seeing a Herrera fight over the horizon at some point, Kurt, as well. Kurt. I think Kurt's working away in the background. Adam, can you hear me, mate?
Yep, I'm with you.
Just saying that light welterweight really is standing out just now. I mean, Alex was saying at the point there is that, there's, who do you put number one with Garcia potentially, moving up? He probably still is recognised as a consensus number one just now, but who else do you see Crawford fighting at 140? I mean, as I say, there's Provodnikov fight's never going to happen. Probably Matthysse at some point, ranked number 3 with WBO. Dave the Hater was saying that Amir Iman looked good last night. Jesse Vargas potential unification fight at some point. So there isn't really many options here for him, in all personal honesty.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And if the Matthysse fight can happen next, I don't see there's no reason why it can't happen next. And I think I would fancy Crawford to win that, and then hopefully it's opened up a little bit by then, 6 months down the line with some more opponents on the horizon. But yeah, currently it's thinning out as they have done for a long while. Chase a fight with the pretty boy somewhere down the line. So the 140 seems as a bit of a halfway house to me at times. But yeah, the Crawford seems to hold the keys to that house at the minute.
Reason Kurt can join us because we're working away in the background trying to fix Mixler, guys, but just very briefly moving on. Now, I had a really good laugh at this last night. Hopefully Alex comes through loud and clear to join in the hate fest here, because a couple of things happened last night. Carol Froch lost a pay-per-view fight, and Julio Cesar Chavez again got exposed for what he is, a fraud, riding off his father's name. He should be reported under the Trade Descriptions Act. But really good to see Andres Fonfara. Obviously, he was getting brought down in weight slightly, a couple of pounds at a catch weight. Cesar Chavez, apparently he was struggling to make weight for his fight also. Absolutely dominated, just practically over, 9 rounds. Then, basically, in all honesty, there's no other way to put it, Alex. He quit on his stool, blaming that his legs were sore. Just admit it, that you were well defeated. I mean, he's now claiming afterwards that he was winning the fight and stuff. Complete pish. The guy is a fraud.
That was fantastic, wasn't it? Absolutely fantastic seeing him like that. Just the fact that you heard the audio get translated afterwards as well, something like, "I'm done, stop the fight, I'm done, my leg hurts," and you hear Goosen just like begging him to go back in. See his dad's face looking fucking sullen in the background, disappointed that he gave birth to this fucking waste of space who got absolutely destroyed by Andrew Fonfara. And I picked Fonfara beforehand. I thought that Fonfara looked, very good against Stevenson in obviously a losing effort, and I thought that he showed a lot of skills. He showed a lot of work rate and activity. I think that would seriously bother Chavez, who we know is lazy, fat, and just useless. And I think that excellent work rate that he showed last night was the undoing of Chavez. He just couldn't keep up with the bullying, the constant pressure, the punches landed, and the knockdown was just sensational, wasn't it? When he turned on him and switched southpaw just for a second and fucking bang, that big left hook, put him right down on his ass, and he looked a fucking defeated fighter right there, and you just knew that was it for him, and he quit on his fucking stall, and I love it, and he's a fucking prick. He's almost as good as Maidana beating the shit out of Broner.
And to be honest, he got $2.5 million for the privilege there last night. Now, Kurt, you were on that hype train for a wee bit, particularly leading up to the Martinez fight. I told you back then, mate, I don't know if you had a bet on it at that time, that Martinez would school him. He did that for 11 and a bit rounds anyway. He should have lost to Vera, and practically there last night. I think, looking at that performance last night, that career, in my personal opinion, is over.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's hard to see where he goes next. I mean, he's not dedicated to make 168. He can't use his strength and his size at 175. The only thing I can see is Al Heyman, bringing up these middleweights up to some 170 catch weight or 170. I mean, he can't even make 170, I imagine, even though he wants the rematch at 170. I don't know what he can do. I mean, his dad just must be so frustrated. We've all seen the picture of his dad with Gennady Golovkin, and you can just see it in his face. He just says, "I wish this guy was my son." That's the Chavez. That's the Chavez son right there. That's who he would love to be his son. But this guy, he's just got self-entitlement issues. He doesn't have to work hard. He thinks everything will just happen for him. To be fair to him, when he started, he was, he didn't have nothing about him, but he has improved. He worked with Roach a bit. No matter how crap you think he is, compare him to about 5-6 years ago. He has improved. He's obviously got a great chin, and he's a fun fighter to watch, but it's just no dedication. I mean, if you remember the Martinez fight, the biggest fight of his career, he was wearing pink pants, eating whatever he was eating, cornflakes or whatever,
joints.
Smoking joints, wandering around his mansion. I mean, he just doesn't care. I just think it's great to see the Mexican fans finally see that and just say, if you don't care, well, why should we? I mean, they gave him a ton of abuse for the Vera fight, which he didn't know what weight he wanted. He basically decided what weight the fight would be at on fight night, and Vera was just messed about so much, and he had to be because he was the B-side. The Mexicans were angry at that. They still supported him. They came back out there, and last night I think that's finally they've had enough. The Mexican fans, they're great. They'll support they'll support their fighters, because their fighters, as we know, they will give it everything. They're all they got. Some of them might not be the best of the ability, but they will go till the very end. And he went out last night, and the way he quit on his stall, and his bizarre interview. I mean, Fonfara's punches were obviously harder than we thought. Years of weed smoking, and he said he was winning the fight. He wants a rematch at 170. He's all over the place, and if he never came back, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. Because where's he going to go now? I mean, no one can change him. He's not going to change. He had the Martinez fight. You'd think that would change him. It hasn't. He's just messed about more people. Bob Arum got a large chunk of money to let him go to Heyman. He must be laughing. Al Heyman, now he has to work his magic to try and make him semi-relevant. But even then, I mean, are fans going to come out and watch him? It's hard to say.
Well, certainly I don't think the Mexicans are going to put up with many more anyway. But I can see GC Superstar actually trying to get a DNA swab of Junior, taking it away to some laboratory to find out if there's any Puerto Rican blood in there somewhere, Alex.
Very well summarised there by my two colleagues, and really I can't go any further than what Alex said. Is just a complete waste of space. You don't know what weight he wants to fight at. It's not really even. I mean, we previewed it last week. He was this was the first time he's ever fought someone on the night who's going to be the same size as him, if not bigger. And Fonfara went in there with no fear. Clearly the B side. To the extent of that ridiculous points deduction we saw, whereby he got done for a shove with no warning whatsoever, and even to the extent where in the same round the referee warned Chavez for use of the head, which he was doing all night long. He was just boring in, and I think Malignaggi called it right on the commentary. He was putting his head on Fonfara's chest, but wasn't doing anything when he got there, and that's when Fonfara brought the uppercut into play. The knockdown was a joy to see, and I think we've just heard from Alex. That's a snippet for all the Mixler listeners out there. For if Carl Froch ever gets beat, just listen to what Alex has just said and times it by maybe 5 or 10. That's the joy that will come out in Mr. Morris if that was ever to happen. It's very much highly unlikely to happen, obviously. But Chavez is finished. He's finished. Where does Chavez go from here? He's done. I can't see. And how
probably
the hell?
The local burger bar and weed joint, I suppose.
How the hell did, even by Heyman standards, when I found out that was $2.5 million this morning, I was staggered at that. I could not believe that. I mean, this is the same person who was, almost fell off my chair when I saw Leo Santa Cruz's last purse. How Chavez has managed to get $2.5 million, that is off the charts. I can't understand that.
At least Turpin wore a mask when he robbed,
Well, Alec, sorry, Adam, just remember what happened last night as well, as your man actually lost his big payday last night. I was actually trying to get a kind of laughter effect on my phone just to kind of like run along with his pain, actually. That Carol Froch's pay-per-view big money fight in America is right down the shitter unless he actually goes and faces Golovkin.
It's gone. It's gone, and I think that's just another nail really in the, well, I was going to say coffin, probably the wrong word, but it's another, it's another step up the ladder with Froch going towards retirement, and it's been on the road to retirement since May the 31st last year, and then now the Chavez fight's gone up in smoke. But really, what we saw last night was the reason why people like Froch, Hearn, myself were so keen for that fight to happen, because it was a payday for a lot of money in Vegas and an easy fight. I know Froch isn't as big as Fonfara, but I still think that he would have knocked Chavez out. It'd have probably took more shots than Fonfara, so it'd have been, probably more fun. But yeah, that's gone up in smoke. And to be honest, go on.
I was going to say as well, I think we should give Fonfara credit as well. I mean, since Stevenson moved up, he's the only guy to really give him issues. He was hurt in that fight a few times, but he was the one coming on at the end and had Stevenson down and was really pressing the fight. I remember I saw him against Campillo, where Campillo basically used his head as a speedball for the first 5 rounds, but he took it, he kept going, and he ground him down. And last night he just put a beating on Chavez, and now he's saying he wants a Stevenson rematch. We're not going to see Stevenson against Kovalev, so I say why not? I mean, he deserves that fight. I thought he was going to get the rematch straight away, to be honest, instead of Stevenson fighting the other guy for and now Baker, but I say he deserves it, and it'll be another fun fight. I think Fonfara is one of those guys who, he takes shots, he gives shots, that's what he is, and he's in exciting fights.
Donnie, we've got Donnie on the call now. Donnie, I want you to do me a favour, mate. I want you to give me the obituary for the absolutely overrated career of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can you say, really? I mean,
he's fucking shite, that's what he is.
Pardon?
He's shite.
I mean, the funny thing is, though, is that what he was being offered to take Golovkin plus 2 other fights was, I think, a guaranteed $20 million. It was either $18 million or $20 million, all right? And he said, no, I don't want that, because those are tough fights. I'll go over and take the meal plan, if you will, with Al Heyman. And Heyman will, give me some easier fights and stuff. And I bet you that's what he thought he was getting in Fonfara. He's probably like, well, it's not Golovkin. It's good. But the thing is that, I mean, even a decent fighter can beat him. I mean, even a decent fighter. It doesn't have to be a great fighter like Golovkin. Even a decent fighter could beat him. And, he was taking a lot of, he took a lot out of that loss to Martinez. I mean, people still remember the 12th round maybe even more than they remember the first 11 rounds, whether that's fair to Martinez or not. But that's sort of the image that I think is burned in people's mind, and I think that he came out of that looking good. Of course, he had to have the layoff for the, smoking weed, but, I mean, even when he came back, people were still interested in him. He still had the public goodwill, and the goodwill of the Mexican fans. And then he kind of didn't train for, he didn't train for Vera, and he needed 2 times to beat Vera. And now he's fighting up at 172, and it's like, if he actually trained, he could get down to 168 easily. And I'm not saying maybe he could make middleweight again if he actually trained hard, but maybe he could get close and be like Canelo and fight a few pounds up, above the weight, and people would fight him anyways, because he's a name and because he brings the star power. But instead, he just decided to fight at a weight that he doesn't belong at, and he got found out by somebody who was legit at that weight. And that's what happened. And also, by the way, I think that this could really make Fonfara into a star in a way. Because, I mean, he actually has a pretty good following in Chicago. There's a lot of Polish immigrants and also Polish Americans there, and people get on the bandwagon as they do when, a local guy wins big fights. And I think that he could become, a good mid-level star in the United States, in Chicago, depending upon what he does from this point forward. But, it's funny because it's Chavez, and he put on is still really the worst possible way to go out. And so, he'll kind of be the story from last night's fight, but I think it's important to recognize that I don't think Fonfara should be lost in that story, and ultimately he got the scalp. Froch didn't get it, Golovkin didn't get it. Fonfara got it, and I think it'll pay dividends for him.
Can I just ask everyone just to kind of observe a minute's silence or a minute's, thought of reflection for the end of the career of one of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We're good to see the fraud out of the sport, hopefully. And I'll tell you one thing, hopefully he's not making $2.5 million paydays again anyway. Who caught the Box Nation card? Now, I was only kind of watching it fleetingly, guys. Derry Matthysse picked up the interim WBA lightweight title against kind of come-forward Canadian. And I think Liam Smith stopped his opponent pretty late on in their fight. Adam, Alex, did any of you guys catch this fight?
No.
Yeah, I saw the fight. I got quite lucky actually. I just sat down. I've been out Friday and sat down, and it was just last night, and it was just starting. So that was lucky. But it's been interesting for Derry Matthysse. First and foremost, I'm glad he won last night because I think he's finished and he's ready to fall. And as soon as they put him in with someone half decent, I was hoping it would have been Abril because I think Abril would have knocked him out. So at least we've got another day where we can bet on Derry Matthysse to get beat. The Venezuelan was the opponent at the start of the week. Matthysse was actually a couple of bookmakers priced it up, and Matthysse was the outsider in that fight, so he would have, was likely to get KO'd in that. And even going into Tony Lewis, who not many people have ever heard of, it was quite close in the betting for that fight as well. So, these are B-level fighters, if not C-level. And, Matthysse is expected to, and actually turns out to struggle against them. Going into the last round last night, although I thought Tony Lewis was winning, obviously expecting a bit of a hometown decision as we tend to get on these shows. Matthysse was still 13-8 to win the fight, so some shrewdies would have got onto that. But I just think he ships too many punches. I don't know. He looks to me as if he keeps in good shape and he's been at the weight for a long time. But his mind, you can see he's thinking that he wants to throw punches or move there or move here, and his body just can't do it as much anymore. And like I say, I think he's an accident waiting to happen.
I think I don't know what the reason how Abril ended up coming champion in recess. I don't know if he was injured or ill or something, but I noticed this. Is it Dallas Perez? He's the regular champion. I don't know. Is that conceivable, Adam, that we can get this guy over for Derry Matthysse?
Yeah, I think it is. I think either Perez has fought quite recently or has a fight lined up, and has been upgraded to the regular champion. Always, obviously, as normal, it's a complete mess with the WBA. There was complaining last week that Abril, I think he's out with the flu, amongst other injuries, but that was primarily the one. And they didn't tell the Warrens or whoever bloody promoted it, whatever company name they used this week. They didn't tell them to quite late, so it left the fight and as a result the card in somewhat disarray. But you have got to give Matthysse credit because he didn't have to fight. When was it, 5 or 6 weeks ago? He didn't have to fight. He ended up in an 8-rounder, for the fans as they paid the tickets. So, he's a good, honest pro. But for a man that even, before the Anthony Crawford fight really was, has pondered retirement at domestic level, on numerous occasions, it does worry me. So, but hats off to him, that he's managed to pick up some sort of slice of the belt mess that the WBA continued to promote. And yeah, Perez, would come over here, I think, but again, it's just going to be difficult to make it, I think.
Finally, Adam, what did they mention about the potential fight with Anthony Crawford? Did they mention that fight at all?
Well, Crawford was ringside, and pretty much the same really what we've heard from Matthysse before and Crawford. is that if Matthysse is to go on and win the full version of the title, he would give Crawler the first defence. Nice of Derry and Anthony to be talking these kind of things, but we've got to remember that it's Frank and Eddie that would put a stop to that fight for the reasons that we've been discussing lately. So, but yeah, it's all very amicable between them. I think they've shared the ring twice before, and always produce good fights. I think I was there for one of them in Sheffield when Derry knocked Crawler out. So, yeah, I mean, it would be good to get that on. And really, if we can't get Perez over in the next, say, 4 or 5 months, that fight, Crawler and Matthysse would be a decent fight for the interim anyway, I think. But, it's definitely a lot easier said than done.
I think, just want to say quickly on Derry, he's had an amazing career. If you remember, was it about 5-6 years ago when he was, getting knocked out quite regularly? I think it happened 3 or 4 times, basically in a row. Yeah. Now, if you look where his career's gone now, and, he still picks up the losses now and again, but he's picking up the good wins, and now he's, was getting a world title shot. I mean, to still stay in the game for so long, I mean, most guys would have just jacked it in after getting those, bad stoppage losses. Because he's always had, he's always been a talented guy, but he cut up easily, he got stopped a lot, and, to see him still, he's 31, he looks a lot older, he's had a hard, long career, and, I say fair play to him, and he's always a fun guy to watch, Derry, and I know people I see claiming robbery for that fight. I just think it was a close fight myself. I think there's not many rounds you could say Lewis definitely won, and same with Derry. I mean, I'm happy with either result, to be honest, but I think in a close fight, Derry was always going to get it, to be honest, but I don't think it was a robbery, to be fair.
Just before we get a C4, I'm going to get some Twitter questions out of the way, but just to let the listeners know is next week we'll be having the special podcast for the big fight coming up on May 2nd. I won't mention it this week, but we'll mention it next week. If you want to come on, tell us your prediction, how it's going to go down, etc., then you know what to do. Add the Box Selling Pod on Skype next Sunday, and we'll get you through, and we'll discuss all things about the May 2nd fight. As I said, just before we do get our C4, Barry Evans is asking, were Hay and Harrison good for British boxing, Kurt? Arguably better salesmen than fighters. Some felt shortchanged after their fights.
Was who? Who's it? Audie Harrison?
Aye, and David Hay.
No, they were, David Hay, I mean, he's got the talent, he done it at cruiserweight. People look, he's heavyweight record and they talk shit about him, I mean, but you can't knock his credentials at cruiserweight. I mean, he beat everyone he could, to be honest, and he unified the titles at heavyweight. He didn't really do what he said. He got the fight with Klitschko, he didn't perform, he blamed his toe, but he still had a great career. Harrison, I don't want us to talk about Audley, everyone knows my love of him.
Donny, Sean Connolly's asking, did Fonfara retire Chavez Jr. and Froch in the same fight? I can hope so.
That's a good point.
Donny, has he crashed his car? Donny? No. Alex?
Oh, shit. So, am I there?
Yeah.
Where are you?
Sorry, I think I muted myself by accident.
Right.
I was saying that, I think he definitely retired Froch, and with regards to Chavez Jr., no, I mean, he has to come back. I mean, Al Heyman didn't pay that kind of money. I mean, I guess Chavez could just walk away. There'd be nothing Al Heyman could do about it, but I think Heyman will definitely try to, entice him to stay because, I mean, he needs to make money back off of his investment. I mean, as much as we, like to see certain types of people, like people that feel like they can get it handed to them and stuff like that. I mean, as much as the public likes to see them fall, they'll watch again. They'll still watch again. I mean, the Mexicans may not be behind him at the same force, but all he needs is maybe one solid win, and you'll see people coming back around. And the same is true of even if people that you hate. Like, I mean, we all saw Broner get completely dominated by Maidana and beat up, right? And, like, who the hell wouldn't watch a rematch of that fight, right? Or who the hell wouldn't watch Broner take on, I don't know, any big puncher or something like that? I mean, if you like seeing Broner get, knocked around, you'll like seeing it again. So the haters will be back, and the fans eventually, if he gets another win, will be back again. I mean, I think he likes the money. Obviously, that was a component of his desire to go to Heyman, I would presume. So, I mean, I still think he'll be back.
hypothetically, if Froch is still wanting to fight again, right? I think his options are very, very limited, guys. You know, Adam, what do you think? It's either going to be the Gale, which is no really guaranteed to beat Darrell, Golovkin, or Ward. That's probably his only three options, and probably maybe even one of them is probably right out the window, and that's a Ward fight.
Well, I was going to disagree, and of the three, I think Ward's most likely. It's just the location that needs to be determined. As I've been saying for a while, I'm not changing my tune. I think that Froch is going to retire. I don't think we'll see Froch in the ring again. Unless you want me to go over the same points and get the Mixler chat with the hashtag again, with leader with the hashtag Declan Taylor, then I can do if you want, but I don't think the fans want it.
There's no point in the Gale fight. It makes no sense. I mean, he had his chance to fight De Gale, and he said it wasn't a big fight. I mean, De Gale's going to fight against Darrell, which is it's an incredibly difficult fight for him to win that against the running man. But if he does, I mean, what's the point in fighting him then? I mean, the longer it goes, it's more obvious. I think he's going to retire. They were banking on the Chavez fight. That's gone now, so he's going to retire. We all want the Golovkin fight in boxing. When these fights that we all want, they very rarely happen, and he's not going to fight Golovkin now.
On this subject again, then, it's a bit of a loaded question, but I wanted to ask it anyway. Obviously, Froch's name is always linked to Sergio Calzaghe. What would be a worse fight to end your career on? Would it be Joe Calzaghe versus Roy Jones Jr., that fight? Or would it be Carl Froch against Julio Cesar Chavez, who we just saw? What's a more humiliating, lesser legacy to fight?
Meaningful fight, basically.
Yeah, or meaningless fight.
I'll need to give that one to you, Adam.
Well, instead of talking hypothetically as we are currently, why don't we talk in facts? What's better to finish your career on? Roy Jones Jr. or George Groves at Wembley? Spar code on the floor.
George Groves is not a European level fighter just now.
Yeah, George Groves.
Or we could just
Paul Smith.
But 1 minute. We thought that George Groves 6 months prior to being flattened had proven and been robbed in Manchester. We thought he'd proven that he belonged at world level. There was a lot of support behind him ahead of the rematch, including on his forum, and he got flattened.
Or we could just go on facts of careers. 46-0, number 1 in 2 weight divisions. Carl Froch 2 losses, never number 1 in a single weight division. I think that concludes that.
And always lost his biggest.
I think that he was number 1 I think he was. Well, I think he's number 1 now. Because Andre Ward hasn't fought for so long.
No,
anyway,
number 1,
he's been stripped of his belt, so
Yeah, the difference between me and you guys is that you hate on Froch and love Calzaghe. I love Froch, but don't hate on Calzaghe. I thought he was awesome.
I've said some good things about Froch, Adam, and you know I have.
And so have
I've got them wrote down in a diary. There's only about 4 entries in that particular diary, but you have, yeah.
I think we're just getting the C-phone shortly, but before we do, get the next question. Alex Scotty RFC is asking, what's the best defence in boxing? Floyd's shoulder roll or Provodnikov's face?
Sorry, I'm still here. I typed be right back, but I'm still here. Well, that's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, Floyd's defence, the shoulder roll, it's not 100% perfect, obviously. Sometimes punches slip through. Sometimes he still gets hit. We've seen him rocked by some good shots from Shane Mosley and, Maidana and various other fighters. But Provodnikov's defence, his face, nothing breaks through that face, I don't think. Nothing's put him down yet. Nothing's stopped him in his tracks. So I think you've got to go with Provodnikov's face. I think they're going to be using Provodnikov's face to build buildings soon and, high-rise towers and things like that. So
I just think, when Provodnikov retires from the sport, he should just be used as like a live kick dummy. They could just blast him in the face as a punch bag, basically. He just stands there and he can laugh. I mean, don't have to bother paying to get punch bags in.
Kurt, we got a C-phone shortly, mate?
Yeah, I'm just going to add him.
Right, no worries. Next question.
Is he going to talk about the most dominant heavyweight champion in history? I think he is, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. That'll be the only thing he's discussing this week, I think. So we'll do get him on. Oh, in fact, he's just coming on the call just now. If you listen to Cephas, jump on, mate. Just join the call.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear you, mate? On the line, a heavyweight expert, we've got Asif Mahmood on the line. Asif, as you know, one heavyweight champion, well, Class D heavyweight champion, Vladimir Klitschko, defends his Labyrinth of titles against Bryant Jennings next Saturday in MSG New York. Give me your take on the fight, mate, and give me your official prediction.
Well, it's going to be a good fight. I think if you look at the training photos of Vladimir Klitschko, he's always in beast mode, and he looks in top shape as always. So I'm expecting, if he takes it easy, he should win in 4 rounds. But I think he's going to try and impress the American people there. So I've got a feeling he might blast him out in 2-3 rounds. But I'm expecting a very, very comprehensive victory. Actually, as good as Brian Jennings is, I actually expect this to be one of his easiest fights. I've got a feeling it may go as easy as the Gene Momek fight, personally. Yeah, it should be it should be a fun spectacle to see, because I know Vladimir is trying to, it's first time in HBO, well, not HBO, first time in the States for like 7 years. So I know he's going to try and he's going to put a lot more effort into it, apart from just going through the motions.
Asif, can I ask a lazy question? How good is Brian Jennings, and what has he done to get into this position?
Brian Jennings has done what a lot of people haven't done, and he's beaten 2 top 15 fighters.
Exactly, Adam.
He's beaten Spilker. He's beaten Spilker, who is probably going to fight Deontay Wilder next. So people, when Spilker fights Deontay Wilder, possibly next, people are going to say, yeah, that's a good fight, Wilder-Spilker. But Brian Jennings beat Spilker. He actually knocked him out. Speaking of Wilder, his options, I think, is going to be between Spilker, possibly Tony Thompson.
Big nipple. Big nipple as well. Chris Ariola got mentioned as well.
Yeah, Chris Ariola did, and also there's very outside chance of Antonio Tarver, but we'll see now. Antonio Tarver. No, seriously.
Oh, Christ, he really needs a payday, that cunt, doesn't he? Fuck me.
But obviously, I mean, he's saying a lot of stuff on Twitter, and he said he's going to break George Foreman's heavyweight record of being the oldest heavyweight champion. But I think he's too small. He's 6'1". He's too short. And no, he looks tall, but better than heavyweight. He's not there at all. But just quickly recapping, very briefly, in the next half a minute, Manuel Char, he was, in Eddie N's basket, but he lost to some French geezer. So that's him finished, in my personal opinion. Dillian White has got a fight lined up, I think, next month, but there's no opponent named for that. Anthony Joshua, I know they're trying to get him on the 9th of May in Birmingham against no opponent yet. I know he's due to fight Kevin Johnson on the 30th of May, sorry. So I'm not expecting a good opponent for the 9th of May if they manage to get someone. But hopefully we might find out who that's going to be a couple of days before the fight. One thing I read today, possibly in the works, is David Price against Mariusz Wach. Now that would be a good fight. I think Mariusz Wach's promoters have talked about this. I've not heard much out of Sauerland about this fight. I'm quite surprised they put him in against Wach at this stage. I thought they might just cash him out against Anthony Joshua. But if that happens, it'll be a good fight. I mean, Wach, he's got a steel jaw, although he's not fast, and maybe Price could outbox him. But the chances of what the chances of Wach, getting a good punch on Price at some point in 12 rounds? In my opinion, I think Mariusz Wach might actually win that fight. But that's about it, really. There's not much heavyweight fight happening in the near future, really. So
I've got one though for you, Steve. Kurt, you've got a question for the only doctor in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I say you mentioned the Wach and Price fight. I mean, surely if you're Sauerland, you try and put Price in with Derek Chisora now. I mean, Mariusz Wach, that's a dangerous fight for Price.
Yeah, I agree. It's a dangerous fight. I mean, Derek Chisora's on the way down now. He's not been the same since the David fight. once he had his chin smashed, it wasn't the same. And I think the Matthysse Wack fight, at some point 12 rounds, Matthysse Wack will get that one punch. Even against Vladimir Klitschko, although he got outboxed for 12 rounds, he did get Klitschko with the one punch. And if that punch gets on David Price, it's over for him really. Other than that, like I said, you got Alexander Povetkin fighting in May. But other than that, really, it's going to be a quiet summer, I think, in heavyweight boxing, which means you might not hear much of me over the next few months, but we'll see, eh?
No problems for that. Cheers for that, mate.
Hold on. Let's see. What's your prediction? Is this going to be a steel hammer in round 1 or 2?
I'm going to go with
brutal steel hammers.
I'm going for stoppage, but 8th or 9th round for Klitschko.
Nah. I'm going to go with my head this time. I'm going to go for a 3rd round knockout. Not a tactical knockout. A bang out 10 count.
You're talking about an Eddie Chambers sleeper. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. I'm talking because Brian Jennings has been knocked down before by low level position. But yeah, I think I expect this to be a good night. Good night, Jennings. It ain't going to be bad Jennings, literally.
Literally, definitely. We're never going to see him again after this. The most dominant heavyweight champion of all time.
I think Asif should be there to administer the last rites as well.
And I will say, people are messing on the board. Don't worry, he's going to fight Tyson Fury next. He's been saying in the interviews that after Jennings, although he's not looking past Jennings, he has mentioned Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury next. So those people that have been waiting for this fight, they're going to get what they wished for.
Fury will get the steel hammer.
Well, I think that would be a good fight, but like I said, I still don't think Vladimir will get the credit. Anyway, guys.
Okay, mate, cheers for that.
Nice one to save.
Cheers, Steve.
Cheers, Asif back on there giving us his breakdown of the Klitschko fight against Brian Jennings next Saturday. Next question coming from Sam Karp. Donny, would Chavez Jr. have been proud that the family quitting tradition is alive and strong?
Oh.
Saying that though, I dare say GC Superstar quit when he was past his prime. We've lost Donny.
That was like Chavez's last fight, wasn't it?
Donny, you broke out there, maybe didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I think it was either his last fight or the fight before his last fight or something like that. But
he quit one of the fights against De La Hoya.
Really analogous.
I don't
think
always
the situation is
that.
analogous. I don't think it's the same thing.
Sorry, Kurt, you were saying, mate?
Yeah, Chavez always disputes that. I mean, I remember when they...
Yeah, he fucking...
He was very angry.
He fucking went crazy on Larry Merchant.
Yeah. I don't think it was his decision to get out of the fight, but, it was one of those fights where he was at the end of his career, so you can cut him a bit of slack, and, the Mexicans, they love him, don't they? So I don't think he just said, pull me out. I don't think he's the type.
Donny, if you're listening, mate, your sound's pretty shit. You're breaking in and out, so you maybe want to kind of log off and rejoin the call. Adam Richard Shama's asking, question is still taken until Cyclone Promotions can come up with a serious alternative offer to Matchroom Boxing. Are they the A-side?
Good question. Well, technically speaking, yes, they are the A-side, but they do need to come up with an offer. I know they've pulled some stunts, and it is cringeworthy, and Alex Morris disagrees with me wholeheartedly, but they've got to kind of see what Eddie's done, really. They've gone for 60-40 to the winner, got nowhere. Now they've offered a flat fee, got nowhere. So now it is the turn of Barry McGuigan to make a counter-offer. Either make a counter-offer or pick which option he wants. Both options, seemingly, are still on the table. He can have 60-40 to the winner if they think there's a bigger pot than 1.5 million in there. Or he can have his 1.5 million and just turn up on the night. They are the A-side technically in terms of he's the real champion, he sells a lot of tickets, but they haven't really got a TV deal of note. They haven't really got a stable to support their own card, as it were. They couldn't do a decent pay-per-view card. They couldn't provide a decent pay-per-view undercard. So yeah, the ball is firmly in Barry McGuigan and Carl Frampton's court.
I think Carl Frampton's actually the last time to come back and negotiate actually as well. So we'll wait and see if anything comes up in the next couple of weeks. But
it's looking like Quig's going to be fighting Kiko Martinez next.
See, yeah, but the thing is, you guys support that fight. I don't think that's a good fight at all.
I haven't got a problem with it.
I've got.
Well, it's a step up, I suppose, for Quig.
He's fighting in bantamweight, though, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's been bantamweight weight for a couple of fights, hasn't he?
But
the Frampton fight's not going to happen. He's not going to fight Rigondeaux. Santa Cruz, forget about him. I think that's a fine fight for this stage of his career. I mean, I know Renda Monroe beat Kiko Martinez, but the Renda Monroe who Quig fought was past it and was, close to retirement. I think right now, Kiko Martinez would be the best. I mean, they tried to sell that Salinas guy as a great Cuban, but he was crap.
It's a decent fight in terms we can see it as a decent fight in terms, yes, it is a step up, but selling it to the casuals who are now the primary market, whether we like it or not, how can it be a decent fight for them? Because it's someone who Frampton has beat twice. It's hard to assess. It's certainly better than some of the other opponents. It's probably the best person he's ever faced. But you don't get away from the fact that he's been beat by Carl Frampton twice, both times emphatically.
Sean Buckles asking, impressive again by Terence Crawford. What fight should he be looking at to get him into the top 3, top 5 in the pound for pound listings? That is a good question, but I think he would either have to clean up at late welterweight, maybe defeat likes of Jesse Vargas, Victor Postal, maybe Cloner if he can get the fight, Matthysse as well. Maybe say if he maybe beats Matthysse, Vargas and Postal, for instance. But I don't rate Vargas all that highly, but I think you would need to be saying to reach the top 5, you need to probably beat those 3, step up to welterweight guys, and probably get some big names, big scalps up there before he could be talking top 5. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, and it also depends. I don't think he's going to stay there, to be honest, for long. I can see him just going to welterweight after a couple of fights there. I think it's just where he wants to go. I think he's got the frame for it as well. He's obviously a big guy, and I mean, I think I could just see him picking up a bout. There's going to be a lot of bouts vacated now, isn't there? Peterson's obviously been stripped. Garcia's going to go now up to welterweight, and then he'll probably pick up some vacant title, and then maybe make one defence, and then go up, I reckon.
Talking about Crawford going up to welterweight, he would absolutely destroy Khan. I would enjoy that.
Uh-oh.
Well, just going to say we'll bring Donny on, see if he's sounds any better now. But Joey O's asking Donny, which fight do you think is more 50-50? Khan, Algieri or Brook against Gavin?
I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, none of them are, right? I mean, they're both shitty fights. There's nothing you can say to that.
What's more near to it, though?
What's more near to 50-50?
Khan, Algieri or Brook against Gavin? This has got you flummoxed. This has got you flummoxed, boy.
If you're forcing me to choose, I mean, I guess maybe Brook, I don't know, it's a quick turnaround. Maybe he will, not, if he takes a week or two off from training and he eats, a lot or something like that, I mean, maybe he might have to cut weight, maybe then he could be flat. I mean, I don't know, but they're both obviously like kind of 90-10 type fights in my opinion.
We all just stunned into silence.
Sorry,
Andy,
I was on mute, sorry. I was on mute. Right, next one, Conor Garcia's asking Adam, what bullshit fight will Froch pursue now? Well, he's going to retire, you said that anyway, so we'll go to the next question.
Well, Andy, I can just answer the last question to Donny. With the boys who were so-called in the know, the fight for Brook and Gavin is closer with the bookies than Khan versus Algieri. Brook 1-6, Algieri. Brook 1-6, Khan 1-14.
I think an interesting question would be, what welterweights would you take Crawford against right now?
Khan.
You know, I'm not actually going to disagree with that. I think he'd be the betting favorite. I do. But I think that also
he beats Porter. He beats Porter. He beats Khan. He would beat Alexander, Guerrero, Thurman.
He beats Thurman, really.
I think he would beat Thurman. Yep.
But he's shown that he can be hurt before. I mean, he was hurt by Yuriorkis Gamboa in that fight. You know.
Yeah, but still.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know if I'd pick him against Thurman, you know, seemingly as confidently as you would.
Anybody else think Thurman when they get beat off Crawford, Kurt, Alex?
It's hard to say, isn't it? I mean, he's only just had his first 140 fight. I mean, to actually go up and fight a legit 147 guy who's been, you know, arguably top 5 for a while now, you can't really, you know, Crawford's good. I think we're all on the Crawford hype train now, but it's a bit much to say he's going to go up another weight and beat up Keith Thurman.
We got Alex. No, sorry, Kurt. Boxing tip advice. Sir Carol Froch would have cobraed Chavez inside 5 rounds. Is Chavez Jr. mentally shot?
Mentally, well, he's just, no, I think it's everything. He's just physically shot as well. He can't bother to make weight. And yeah, Froch would have beat him easy. I don't know whether he would have stopped him or whatever, but that's what they wanted that fight. I mean, it's an easy money spinner in Vegas. And, you look at the other options. Andre Ward, Golovkin. Chavez is the easy one. That's why Golovkin wants him. That's why Andre Ward wants him. That's why Froch wants him. It's a way to get yourself on pay-per-view. And you can beat shit out of him on pay-per-view, and then you can become a star. I mean, that's gone down the drain now. And like someone said earlier, Fonfara basically retired 2 guys at once.
Now, this one's obviously the homage to what happened after the Chavez fight with the beer getting thrown at the ring last night, but Joe Burgess is asking, in homage to Paulie, if you could bounce booze, preferably in a can, off anyone in boxing's head, who would it be? I would go for Steve Bunce. Alex, I think your list must be like a fucking roll of toilet paper.
Oh, fucking hell. Steve Bunce is probably quite far down on the list, to be honest. You've just got to go for the Chuckle Brothers, surely. You've got to fucking get a nice big fucking pint and just hurl one at Nick Halling and hope it fucking smashes him in the gob and breaks his fucking jaw so he never commentates again.
Pretty raw and to the point. Kurt, who for you, mate?
What was the question again?
Who would you like to bounce a can of beer off's head in boxing?
I don't know, I don't do those kind of things. Frank Warren?
Oh, fucking the lawyer on the phone today.
I'll edit that out. I'll edit that out, the download.
I'm thinking George Grove, simply to wind up the female contingent of our listeners.
Got to be either. There's no doubt about it. It's either Cloner or Cotto for me, like.
Yeah, but it's got to be actually a piss-filled cup, hasn't it? You got to drink the beer, fill it with piss, and then fry it brown, isn't it?
No, it's got to be a Molotov cocktail.
All that, yeah.
Right, the fight maker, Donny. No, that's where they answered that question. Really, another part of it. Mike Hedrick's asking Donny, what is your worst ever fight prediction? Oh, I know this one. What is your worst ever fight prediction with your pick either getting knocked out quickly or losing every round? I know the answer to yours. It's going to be Badou Jack. Remember that one, Donny?
That's
erased in one round.
Was the value of the week candidate?
Yeah, you're breaking in and out there again, mate.
Another one where I was totally shocked. Come back to me on that, because I have some shitty ones. I really do. So just give me a chance.
Okay, Adam, Kurt, and Alex.
That's a good question.
I would need to say probably mine recently would need to be Klitschko against Hay. I thought Hay would have knocked him out in 8 rounds.
Oh, but he's still. Well, that's pretty bad, actually.
It was fucking brutal. That.
Well, I've had 2 bad ones in the last 2 weeks there. Etchers to KO Kuzmitsky failed badly, and Simmons to KO Dickinson also failed extremely badly.
Obviously, I had Groves to knock Carl Froch out in the first 3 rounds.
Yes.
In the rematch, and probably my worst pick was Ricky Hatton to knock Manny Pacquiao out in 9 rounds. And we all saw how that went.
Kurt, what about yours, mate?
Worst pick. This has led to all the hate, I'd say. It's Lucian Bute over Carl Froch.
Oh yeah, remember that one? I
still hate that man.
I actually remember the podcast after that fight, actually, because I was actually at the fight and I came back up the road on the Sunday, and Matty D asked you the question if there was a rematch, who would you pick? And you went Booty.
I'd still pick him now for Froch.
Was you pissed? I remember, talking of bad predictions, I'm going to say that was one of my best. I remember Froch KO for that fight was 8-1 for that fight, and I backed it.
But in hindsight, no one expected it to be like that, though. Even if you thought Froch was going to win, no one expected it like that. It was a great. You got to give Froch all his due for that one.
Yeah.
Alex from Rocco, with potential Cotto, Canelo, Golovkin, Froch fights later in the year, on top of May 2nd, could 2015 be the best year ever? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting, obviously, the big fight, and that's obviously going to be the one that lasts in people's memories, and, you know, the Provodnikov-Matthysse fight was good. I can't see some of those fights happening, to be honest. A Canelo-Cotto fight. Cotto's only going to fight, once this year, as he has done for the past 3 years. And Froch ain't going to fight Golovkin, is he? So, maybe we'll get lucky and see some decent fights later in the year, but I think it's too early, and it's been a bit too average and mediocre to say that it's going to be an excellent year.
Listen, try it there. Kurt, this one from Barry Evans, he's asking, how likely Vitaly fights again? Mariel term expires in 2018, also Sky rejected Vitaly hate in 2012, according to the Telegraph. I don't think he'll fight again.
No, he's not coming back. He didn't look like he was going to come back when he retired the first time. He had some bad injuries, leg and back injuries. He took 4 years off, he came back. He had his few fights, and that's it for him now. He won't be coming. No way. Just never see him back.
Is that the last one? This could be the last one here. This is the right one to give to Adam and Alex. Actually, I'll let you two duke it out actually to see who's more right. Would Calzaghe have come out of retirement if Froch had beaten Ward in the Super 6? Would he still come out of retirement? Would Lennox have unretired too?
No.
Calzaghe doesn't need to do that because we know who'd win that fight, and it's a very simple debate. Calzaghe has already won in my eyes because Froch is still rattled over Sergio of Calzaghe's undefeated record, and that's it really.
I think, you got to look at both of those guys, Lennox Lewis and Calzaghe. They both retired at the right time and they both stayed out of it. And I know Lennox Lewis has made claims that he'd come back for a certain amount of money, which is never going to happen. But both of them got out. I mean, Calzaghe his hands were shot and he was, he got out when he could. And, Lewis had the really tough fight with Italy. And, if he had the rematch, he could have been, he could have lost that and then got out and lost. He didn't want to do it. So, they both got out and stayed out, and more fighters, you only wish that would happen, even if you're a big fan and you don't want to see them go. But sometimes it's best for them because they can hang around. I mean, Evander Holyfield did, Roy Jones is still doing it, and it's a sad sight.
Spartan Paddy just threw this one in at my last second here, but he's stating here when he says Mikey, I'm assuming he's talking about Mikey Garcia and Terence Crawford at 140 down the road at some point, but that's never going to happen unless, but Garcia's been at the ring now, 15 months must be close to that. Can't see that fight happening. I'm assuming you're all still there.
What fight was it?
He just says Mikey, but I'm assuming he means Mikey Garcia.
Yeah, it's sad what's happened with him. I mean, he's been on the shelf. He's obviously tried to leave Aram. I assume he's going to leave Aram if he hasn't already. But when was he fought? January of last year. I mean, he was on a good run as well. He was getting, on HBO and exciting fighter to watch, and people have forgotten about him. He's a bit like Andre Ward. He needs to, he needs to get back out, and he's been on the shelf for so long. But unlike Ward, he's actually exciting to watch, and he just needs to get active again. It's terrible when they see these fighters in their prime just sit on the shelf for promotional issues or whatever it is.
Sorry, but I'm just reading that chat there. Now, guys, I think we'll get any callers coming on.
Yeah, I'm just going to add, I think Rocco's coming on.
Right, who's taking this call in?
You can all talk to Rocco. We all like talking
I'll
to
talk to Rocco. Rocco's my mate.
Here he is.
You alright, mate?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You alright?
Can you fucking hear me?
You fucking mug.
You fucking can't, mate.
He's still not on. What's he doing?
I'm just reading through some of these Mixler comments now. So this James Bennett seems to be rather pissed off with some of the chat comments.
There's some despicable comments in the chat, and
disgraceful chat. Some of the ladies as well.
It's just a pit of scum, as Alex said about the lead show last week. These are the people who were at that show. I'm sure all of these people were at that show.
We've seen fucking beach ball being thrown about in a minute, and beer thrown over and pissing on each other. That's what they're going to be like.
I'm not even going to read it no more because it makes my eyes hurt. Just the filth. It's just vile.
Absolute anarchy.
Some of the comments from the females say is absolutely deplorable. It's disgusting. I mean, you wouldn't hear me using the word cunny in Mixler chats. It's just disgusting,
I just avoid it. It's just we've broken Britain. That's what I say.
So can I just ask again, please, respectfully, guys, on Mixler. I spoke to you at the start of the show. I'm asking you now. James Bennett looks like he could be reaching for the knife for the end of the noose and stuff. We don't want to kick away the stool, so please rein it in a little bit. It might be sensitive, may have issues. Just ease up a little bit there, guys. Come on.
Rocco, you there?
Hello there. How are we?
Hello, Rocco.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Great chaps. Great.
See, Rocco always put on that voice before. This is his real voice.
This is my telephone voice. This is my telephone voice when I'm ringing up.
You sound like you're fucking cold calling people there.
Yeah, no, let's go back to normal. How are you, guys?
Alright.
Alright, mate? Oh, dear. Right, let me get started. Right, I couldn't call in last week because Kurt weren't about, so it was, there's no callers. I just wanted to add on the, Josh Warrington thing. I know you all pretty much said it and on the YouTube things, but you all got it sort of bang on. But I've said a few times, like Eddie, I remember him doing like one of them Q&As about a year ago when Warrington was like, I don't know if he was like chasing the British title or whatever, and Selby was on the verge of a world title, like all these fighters are on the verge of a world title. And he was going, oh yeah, down the line, yeah, Selby and Warrington maybe down the line, but I don't know if you noticed, the last time he was asked about it, he sort of like looked all sort of like shock-faced and was like, well, we might have to go down a different route with, Josh. So I think he knows that, as we've all said and we all know, that if Warrington loses, that mob are gonna go apeshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello?
Yeah,
because go on, Alex.
I was just gonna say,
but when they're setting him up there, there's going to be rioters, and when he gets knocked out or when something goes wrong, there's just going to be chaos. I mean, there's already a load of shit going on, and Hearn obviously wants to appeal to the football fans. He knows that Warrington can get a good following there, but they're all pissed. Before the action's even started, they're all pissed probably before they probably get out of bed, to be honest. But they turn up, and it's just, it's an atmosphere. People moan about the German boxing when there's no atmosphere. You can hear a pin drop, and some people just like to have a bit of a laugh and a bit of a fun and a good night out. And it's just, will it turn nasty if things don't go their way? And that's the thing you got to worry about.
The thing is, it will turn nasty. This is my problem with it. I mean, even if Josh Warrington, say he loses in Leeds to someone who's not Selby, it's just going to be anarchy anyway. But the fact that it'll be Lee Selby and possibly in Wales or Ellen Road possibly, but it's going to be absolute fucking chaos. They're going to tear the fucking place down. The fact that we saw the chaos when it was just Warrington fighting Dennis Tuberon or whatever his name is. That was a nothing fight, but they were going ballistic for that fight, fucking screaming the place down when Tuberon was, being announced or whatever. And the beat, I just can't get the beach ball out of my head. And the 4-minute round and the 2-minute round, it's absolute fucking nonsense, and someone's going to get hurt. Leeds.
I'll tell you what. See, it's what I'm saying. The last time Eddie spoke about it, he was like a 360, stuck it in reverse, and he was like, well, Josh might go for a different route. He knows that him versus Sel. I mean, I don't think, I'll ask you, he's building fighters up, which fair enough, he's building them up, in their own town, but what Warrington is just Leeds fans, could he put someone else with a decent fan base, I know you're going to say, but Crolla or Brook or anyone, could he put them on a Warrington card, or could he put Warrington on one of their cards, in Manchester or Sheffield? I don't think he could.
I'll tell you what though, the thought of Warrington and Selby, the Leeds fans and the Welsh fans, I don't think that's going to be a peaceful night, to be honest.
It'll be like Football Factory meets Dirty Sanchez. It'll be like, oh, hello, Bren, what's occurring? Leeds. They'll be going fucking mental. Because
I think Powell's comments could come back actually, but rivers of blood in fucking Leeds.
Poor Nick Hall, he'll be going out on a stretcher, won't he, on one of the boards?
You see Alex rubbing his hands just now.
Hopefully he takes the first hit for everyone. But,
Got anything else you want to talk about, Rocco, about the weekend or anything?
This week's, I'm struggling because I watched most of Matthysse Provodnikov, but I was so fucked I kept falling asleep, so that's no slight on the fight. I'll have to watch it back. I've seen Crawford's stoppage, and I've seen half of No Mas Chavez, so I can't really comment. But it's nice that Eddie and Froch have been fucked over.
Do you think Froch retires now? Is that it for him?
As I've said to you before, I think that his personality, he's got a real problem, and I think I heard him say the other week, you see that interview of him when he come out of that show last week, and he went, "Oh, Ambrose Mendy, that's another wanker." They've been digging at him, and I think he already said, "Oh, if the gal beats Darrell, beats him well, then that fight might interest me." I think he's such a, we all know what you think of him, but he's easy. A lot of other fighters who can't be goaded into fights, but he can. Groves really has got no right. The argument's over. He's beat him twice. He's knocked him out twice. But all Groves had to say to him after that fight was, "Oh, well, if we fight a third time, I'll win." And you could see him fucking seething, his face contorting, and and then he gets all like, well, you can't really see that because I've knocked you out twice. And then he starts getting all fucking nasty, and you can tell it. Then George thinks, "Fucking hell, I've got him." Do you know what I mean? I've got him again. So I think I can see. Well, if Eddie's going to need some fucking pay-per-views, then he might have to call him old fucking big nose, and but I don't think it's a Wembley fight, especially if and it'll be later in the year. I think it's only like an MEN or something like that.
Rocco, what do you think of Charlie Sims going to be doing the Mayweather-Pacquiao show?
Oh my days. Well, I mean, he has got boxing experience because his dad is Tony Simples, like, not got too many GCEs. Oh, Tony Simples, has he? Like, you know, like, there ain't too many GCEs going around that house, is there? So, they're just trying to appeal to the casual, you know, fucking hell, Towie, Max Branning, and oh dear.
I still don't know who it is. Who is Charlie Sims?
His dad's Tony Simples, and his sister's that Chloe, the one with the fish lips. So
that doesn't narrow it down.
Seriously, I still don't know who it is.
Yeah, he's a Towie. One of them fake
Essex
actors.
Shit.
Yeah, he's one of them
brilliant.
fake actors. So, but yeah, no. I mean, well, I don't know. Have you seen that head-to-head thing Sky are trying to get people to do, like the ice bucket challenge?
What is that? I've seen people talking about it. What do you have to do exactly?
They basically, it's like to try and raise awareness of the Mayweather-Pacquiao thing. They want you to sort of like film your own video or picture where you sort of like square up to someone and then you nominate someone else to do it. But if you look at the ones Sky Sports Boxing have posted today, there's like blokes doing face-to-faces with their dogs and all sorts. I mean, there's Jamie Redknapp and Henri done one, and Jamie Redknapp thought he was fucking Dave Courtney, like, "Can you want some? Do you fucking want some?" and all that. And Smith and Nelson done one. So that looked a bit, you like that one. Old Adam looked a bit quaint when he sort of like tried to square up to him. So, but yeah, that's a bit cringe, but I'm buzzing for it. Oh, Adam.
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah.
Oh, not to talk about the fight, but it's more a betting question.
Yeah.
So, fighting May the 2nd.
Yeah.
If you, I think Floyd is 4-9, yeah? So you put £9 on, you get 4 back.
You get 1 to 2 at the minute, so a little bit better, but yeah.
Okay. So if you put on £500 on Floyd to win, and I don't know what the draw is, but let's say the draw's 10-1.
20-1 the draw.
Right, 20-1. So let's say you put £25 on the draw to get money back to cover your thing. What happens if the fight is well, what do they call it? A majority draw, like, so 2 judges score it a draw and
It's
one
a draw.
Floyd.
Still a draw.
After the draw, yeah?
Yeah. But you can actually bet with some bookies. You can bet on, call it, exact method of victory. So that would be, you can bet on UD, MD, SD, KO, obviously. So you'll find that under exact method of victory.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying, I mean, I don't want to go down that road, but I'm just thinking, like, if I do have a bet on, not that I'm going to put that much on, but, you know, if I do have a bet, I just wonder whether that could be a way out of instigating a rematch.
Or you can bet, on some bookmakers will take a bet on what they call, draw no bet, so it'll just be a 2-horse race, and if it's a draw, you'll get your money back.
Don't get Adam started on the betting. We'll be here all night.
Yeah.
I'm imagining him there doing that John McCrew with his hands going.
I've already done that, Rocco. Have you not seen me on Sky Sports Greyhounds, Rocco?
I see ya, yeah. I see. I like that.
Mate, we need to let you go, mate. We've got someone else coming on, mate.
Yeah, go on, lads. I'll speak soon, yeah?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Right,
Cheers, pal. Cheers.
We've got Sean coming on.
Sean coming on. I don't know if, mate, I spoke to Sean
Yeah,
before.
he was the Brook impressionist. Was you wrong for that when he did that?
No, I think that was...
that was awesome.
Let's see if we can get Sean on the line.
Wasn't that long ago, was it?
Is it about 3 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it would be...
It was after 2 weeks, weren't he? So,
yeah.
3 years.
Fuck's sake.
Good.
Fuck's sake.
I actually want to go and get a beer and a wee brandy, actually. But anyways, duty calls first. Sean Rigby coming on the line shortly. If he's coming on, now's the time to do it.
Have we given any requests to Sean? Like, is he doing Eddie Hearn or is he doing Cole Proch this week?
Brownie, obviously, Kel Brook.
Oh yeah, we want that. Yeah.
Somebody's writing Arabic into the bloody chat there, actually. Could be ISIS trying to hack us. Sean, you there, mate?
Apparently, yeah, we are, lad. You're right. How's it going?
What's on your mind, mate?
I don't know. What do you want to ask me?
Why are you fighting Frankie Gavin? Why?
Why were he slashed? Was it because you were trying to get up the dunger?
Right, let's start with Frankie Gavin, okay? Right, let's start with him. Now, a lot of people saying this fight in pay-per-view, but it is. All you gotta do is look through both of our resumes, okay? So.
Your resume's shy, though.
No, look at myself, look at my own resume now. So.
Yeah, but shit just now, innit?
Hold on, he got stabbed and he's still walking. I mean, that's a great resume.
Exactly. I don't know who did it, but they did it, so I've come through it, life-threatening injury, and I went, before that, beat Sean Porter, big time, over in America, getting my name out there, and, so, who's else on my CV? I got Carson Jones, Denchenko, Saldivia, Matthew Hatton,
Cab
and
drivers.
then we got Raphael Jaffa Cake as well.
Magic.
Yeah, Kelly, have you ate many chocolate brownies this week?
Say that again, son.
Have you ate many chocolate brownies this week?
Not as many as you, love. Don't worry about that. So, and then people saying this now, look at my TV and all them people, all their names, them big names I just mentioned. And so we're moving on now to Frankie Gavin. Look at what he's been fighting. Like, we know he's pay-per-view because he's exciting. Look down his CV. Bradley Skeet, Junior Witter. Exciting fights. People gone crazy when I was fighting them. He was dominant. Your call, XL. Big Frank Wong cards fighting Bradley Skeet, Junior Witter. And we saw that now. So, need I say more, gentlemen? Need I say more?
Why is the Khan fight not happening? Why is he ducking you?
Lads, talking about fighter A, fighter B, it's all about fighter K. Don't worry about Queen Khan. Don't worry about Queen Khan. Don't need him, man. Don't need him.
Kel, are you friends with Tony Bellew by any chance?
No, I'm afraid Tony's away at the moment. He's off carrot shopping. He wants to get the right price for his carrots. So he's away doing that at the moment. He does a lot of it online now. You can get them really cheap. Get them really cheap these days, you can. Trust me.
He was tempted to do Bellew then.
No, honestly, lads, I can't do Bellew. I'm sorry.
Is this your real voice, yeah?
That Kel Brook's so good because it's so different to your actual voice. That is brilliant.
It's not just the accent; it's the lisp as well. It's perfect, really.
I tell you what, it's a bad one to do on a hangover when your tongue's all fat and dry. Like this now. Fucking hell, it's getting caught in my buck northern teeth. It's horrible. But yeah.
Sean, what was your highlight of the weekend?
Oh, do you know what, lads? I didn't get a chance to see anything, but I was quite intrigued to just see how you guys have probably covered it, but I was quite intrigued to see Derry Matthysse, and I don't know what you guys thought of him, and I didn't see it. How did he get on?
He's shot. He's ready to go.
Is that right? Because I saw a few things that it was a bit of a dodgy decision.
Yeah, it was. Well, he was, as I was saying earlier, he was 13-8 to win going into the 12th round. So he was certainly, the commentators, I think, were scared to admit that they had him behind. The bookies certainly had him behind. I had him behind.
I gotta say, it's a real shame because I don't know about you lads. I mean, I quite like Dirty Derry. I think he's good value for money, and I would have liked to have seen him win that outright. And yeah, it's a bit of a shame, to be honest, but well, what can you do? There you go.
He's been a great servant to the game, and you know, on his pro really from top to bottom. He's took a few losses along the way, and he's still here. So credit to him, really.
Hey, and I tell you what, he's the old matchroom bogeyman, isn't he? Really, you know, with old Crawler and fucking
Coyle.
Boom Coyle. Fucking hell, Jesus Christ.
What did you make of the lead show last week? Did you see any of that?
The lead show last week, that was the Warrington one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought you would have fit right in that crowd, you know, with the.
Yeah, no. It's I live in London, so you know I get spat on and bumped into enough without paying for it. So I balls to that, to be honest. You know, I'm not. A lot of this stuff that's been pumped out by Matchroom at the moment, it's just so uninteresting. I don't proclaim to be any kind of expert in terms of boxing. I think like any of us, we get involved in the narrative. We love the fighters, the personalities, and that side of things, and that's what draws us in. And I suppose for me, like of the fights that got me into boxing, obviously with the old Ricky Hatton wave. Other than that, it was, funnily enough, Martin Rogan versus Sam Sexton, where it was just two fucking just two characters, two pretty down to earth blokes, and they gave each other a good kicking on the night, you know, and that's what really got me into it. And now to see this kind of fabricated Britain's Got Talent style of promoting boxing, it really it's left me quite jaded, to be honest, fellas. It's left me quite jaded.
See the current scene just now, actually, the amount of times I've been pissed off enough to go and dig out some old fights just to kind of rekindle, or just kind of like get some more kind of love for the sport. Just now, it's just complete business, and everybody gets what nobody wants, and we're not getting the good fights.
No, and we've been robbed of personalities as well. I think, I mean, if the one thing we can take from the recent Showtime Mayweather Pacquiao thing, with the old Floyd talking about the way.
Whoa, you can't mention the names. It's got
sorry, sorry, lads, slap on wrist.
Stabbing leg.
I just don't know I did it. I couldn't see his face. But, and there's this bag of white powder in my pocket anyway afterwards, so I don't know. And I was £50 lighter, but, and, you know, the one thing, I mean, that we can commend Fighter A for is, buying himself out that contract and marketing it himself. And we're being robbed of those engaging personalities. And anyone with half a brain cell can see that Josh Warrington is a decent fighter, exciting, and obviously is a thoroughly nice bloke. However, the matchroom hype behind him and this whole fucking football tie-in is purely alienating to anyone with half a fucking brain. And it's frankly insulting. It's pretty insulting. But
the important thing there, though, Sean, is that they've had a bang average card, a bang average main event, and they've sold 7,000 tickets for more than bang average prices.
Well, there you go, and it you know, it's working. So I mean, maybe I part of me, the optimist in me, would like to think that Hearn and people like him are playing the long game. For the sport, and that they get these people in, these casuals, and they sell them this football atmosphere, and they come watch the fights. People like Josh Warrington, engaging personalities, and further on down the line, they can start to build up more interesting cards with 50-50 fights and people who aren't quite as marketable. But that would be being, if I was being optimistic. I just don't think that's the case. I think people are looking to make a quick buck. When I say people, I think Matchroom. with very little foresight for the future of the sport.
Sean, just before you go, I've got a question for Kel. Ahead of May the 2nd, without using the names.
Go
Who
ahead,
does he think will win? And
No, you can
who
use
would
his
you rather
names in a
face?
minute.
Say again, who do I think will win what?
May 2nd, Kel Brook preview.
Well, oh, right, okay, well, so, look, two big names, people that are that I'm right there, so, to be honest, they're both fighting for the privilege. The fight. The special one. So, it's a toss-up, really. It's really about who wants it more. Who wants to achieve greatness? Who wants to solidify their legacy against the special one? And so it's all about Mayweather, all about money team, all about money team. And sorry, Kel's gone now. He's his nose earlier on, and he's going to grab a couple of rolls of Cashel. He's yeah. It's hay fever, I think. I don't know. I can't tell. He's rubbing his leg anyway. So.
No worries. Just for that, Sean.
That's all right, lads. That's all right. Hey, take care. Love the show. I'll be listening tomorrow.
No worries, mate.
Cheers, Sean.
All the best. Cheers.
Cheers, Kel.
Calling. Love you.
See you later, lad. See you later.
See you, Kel.
Take care. Bye-bye. Love you.
He's got it down to a T, lads. He really has. He should almost be paid to do that.
There's really so many feminine male voices I can listen to it sometimes, But moving on to Bellew of the Week segment.
Okay, what's the
Right now, now, you fucking rat!
Okay, what's the value of the week?
One certain Mr. Julio Cesar Chavez, the fraudster, has got 2 nominations this week. Firstly, for saying he wants a rematch with Fonfara. He's got some nerve asking for that, actually, after getting his arse kicked there last night. But he always goes one further and asks for a fight at £170, £2 later than what it was last night. Fucking no chance.
Yeah, he's invented like his own weight class for the rematch. It's just brilliant the way he just
Chavez
he says it. He just doesn't care, does he? And he doesn't expect to get any hate for these kind of comments. I mean, what's he going to do? He'll lose the rematch, draw him down to another £2 and keep doing it.
Well, and also, the third nomination, he said that he thought he won
winning the fight.
He didn't say winning, he said won.
Well, that might be have to do with his, developing knowledge of English. But I think it was clear he thought he was winning, though, up to that point, yes.
Fella. Another one goes to a commentator on Rock Nation's Friday night show in reference to Andre Ward. The mention was the whole city of Oakland stops when Andre Ward fights.
Fall asleep, yeah.
Now, another fraudster, Miguel Cotto. I tell you, that motherfucker's really on thin ice. Quotes, Canelo and Golovkin need to sit and wait their turn. Fucking bitch. And then
well, takes on Gill.
Yeah,
while he takes on the good boy.
Daniel Gill, who got erased in 3 rounds against Golovkin.
Yeah, but like in other words, like you gotta sit. Usually, when fighters say you're gonna sit and wait your turn, it's because like the person you're fighting now, you can make an argument is like more deserving, and so these guys who are arguably less deserving have to sit and wait their turn. But I don't really exactly get how Golovkin has to sit and wait his turn while he fights the guy that Golovkin beat the fuck out of. Like that doesn't
make sense. No, this other one, this was actually a tweet sent out by Sergei Kovalev. It has since been deleted, but not before certain people with IT skills managed to screen grab it and get it out and about on Twitter and some various boxing forums, etc. Now, if you haven't seen it, basically Sergei Kovalev has posted out a picture of himself, and I don't know if it's a relative of some sort, but it's a young boy, blonde-headed young boy, and basically he's got a t-shirt on with a monkey with boxing gloves on, and Adonis Stevenson has actually tweeted above it. It says Adonis Stevenson or something. Looks great. That's what it was. So this guy doesn't beat you down and want to kill you, or has killed people in the ring. You don't stick your tongue out at this guy because he might want to decapitate you, etc. He obviously doesn't give a fuck about people's sensitivities or racism and all that sort of stuff. This motherfucker doesn't give one iota of a shit about anybody.
Again, that he may not. I'm guessing maybe he didn't know. You know what I mean? He's Russian. Maybe they don't say that there.
What?
It's just, you could say he comes from a part of the world where political correctness doesn't exactly exist, but he's in America now. His trainer is obviously African American. I mean, I don't know what he's going to think about it. It's just a silly thing to tweet out. In all seriousness, he just made, whether he's racist or not, no one can know for sure. But what he tweeted out is obviously going to be perceived as that because of what he's done. I mean, I know people can say, he's not being racist, but the fact is, we know the connotations that monkeys and blacks have by racist people. I mean, that's just the way it is, and by saying it, it's what he's doing. I'm a big fan of Kovalev, but there's no need for that in my opinion.
No doubt he'll say his Twitter got hacked.
Yeah, but he's posing in the picture with the kid.
Yeah, oh no, he'll still say he got hacked.
He'll say the t-shirt was photoshopped. Really, there was Bugs Bunny on the t-shirt.
Just bring a little kid into it as well. I mean,
I know. Just before I'm slightly going off topic here, but I've just seen a tweet getting sent out to Nonito Donaire, basically saying, heard Scott Quigg and Eddie Hearn offered you a fight, not enough money for you. Sorry, not enough money, or did you not want to travel to the UK? And Donaire's responded back, and he's basically stated here, talked to my manager earlier today, no offer received, I'll go anywhere to fight. And Chad Hogan's come back and said that Eddie Hearn's lying again, so we'll wait and see what happens. Because I think
Eddie Hearn lies. I can't believe that.
Eddie Hearn never lies.
What I was going to say is Eddie Hearn basically mentioned there's going to be an announcement, I think, next week about Scott Quigg's future opponent. But
and then next week we're all going to hate on his opponent because Frampton won't step up and just come up with an offer.
Yeah,
brilliant.
So that is the nominations I've got this week, guys.
Andy, I've got some.
Okay, yeah. Fire away.
A couple from Twitter. Bill Granger, Bill_Granger, the people telling Fonfara to say thank you to Al Heyman in the interview after the fight. That was happening, and it's sickening. One of his mates almost tried to grab hold of the interview and say, come back, say thank you to him.
And he actually tried, didn't he?
Fanboys.
He actually grabbed Jim Gray at the last second. But Jim Gray had already walked on.
Yeah, he'd gone, so yeah, that was quite funny. It really gets me that everything was stacked in Chavez's favour last night, and always is. And then you've got the Watson gang standing with.
Fonfara is their fighter.
But they wanted Chavez to win, obviously. And then you've got the WBC
Well, of
bloke.
course
As if the
they did, but I
WBC
mean,
bloke
actually-
gives a bloody flying fuck about whether Fonfara wins, and he's congratulating him. Piss off.
Yeah, but usually though, like, you know, when Don King always used to say, if I promote two fighters and they fight each other, I walk out with the winner, like, period.
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, I mean, you have to, and to be fair, like, that sounds kind of harsh on the fighters, but you got to understand that, like, you know, if somebody pulls the upset, you can't be like shitting on it. And I actually think that even though I think it was a bad decision, when Bradley beat Pacquiao, at least on the scorecards the first time around, Bob Arum should have been behind that. And by shitting on that, you know, Bradley was getting death threats and, you know, I mean, everybody hated him. And I mean, it wasn't anything Bradley did. It was the judge's fault. But I mean, you know, Arum could have got behind him and he could have promoted Bradley and promoted him as the guy who beat Pacquiao. Okay, it was controversial, but he didn't do that. He shat on his own fighter. And to me, it's almost surprising that Bradley signed with him again. But, I mean, you know, technically they promote Fonfara as well, and I'm sure they're going to take this and try to run with it and try to make him an attraction in Chicago. That's what they should do. That's sensible.
Final nomination on Twitter, Scotty RFC. I wasn't aware of this, but Monroe Jr. saying Golovkin was shitting it at the face-to-face.
I see he's actually got a black eye just now, actually, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yep.
If you did say that, that is an absolute belter of a value.
William Monroe.
That is bullshit, but I mean, I actually think that'll be a good fight, though.
Kurt, you got anything, mate?
I think that's about it, isn't it? I'm just. Is anyone in the mixer chat got any? I think we've done them all now.
Oh, Carol Froch got a nomination, actually. The barman sent me this one, and apparently he's been appearing on some poker program on Sky, I think. And he quoted, he says, "The guy who took me out at the last hand was very lucky. I was 90% sure odds on." And also added, "There's no reading me." That guy just, oh fuck,
just
man.
imagine his face when he said that as well, like deadly serious, like there's no reading the Cobra.
I strike at a moment's notice, you know, that's shite.
Can I just nominate Chavez for turning down $20 million in guaranteed money to fight Andre Fonfara?
Aye, well, we don't be fight much more anyway, I don't think. So anyway, we've got basically the imposter to the boxing world, Chavez Jr. We've got a commentator on the Rock Nation show, we've got Miguel Cotto, Sergey Kovalev, who was the other two from you, Adam, again?
Monroe Jr. and, oh shit, I forgot now already. Oh, it's gone.
It's gone. Anyways, so...
It can't have been that good.
Kurt, who are you voting for?
For me, it's got to be Kovalev. I mean, he just made a complete tit of himself, really, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Donnie?
Well, actually, just to tell you, Adam's other nomination, I think, was the Watsons, right?
Fonfara, yeah, Heyman.
Fonfara, yeah, that's the one, the Heyman Gun twins, yeah.
I gotta go with Chavez, obviously. I mean, I'm giving it for two reasons. For one, for saying he thought he was winning the fight, and two, because I just think, turning down the whatever it was, $18 or $20 million, thinking Andre Fonfara was going to be walking the park. I mean, yeah, he's got egg on his face. He has to be the value of the week, in my opinion.
So it's 1-1. Adam?
Chavez Jr.
2-1. Alex?
See, I've been debating whether or not that Kovalev should even be nominated for this, because Value of the Week is usually sort of a tongue-in-cheek award. It's usually for humorous things and, you know, poking fun at things, but I think this is at times a bit too serious of a topic, really, you know, the Kovalev tweet. But I will give it to Kovalev because it's such an outrageous comment, and I can't believe he did it, and he obviously knows he did wrong because he deleted it afterwards, so I'm going for Kovalev.
So it's 2-2, but I think I've got to give it to Chavez. I mean, just some of the comments were gold. He was winning the fight, he wants a rematch, he's got to be at a certain weight.
Hello?
No chance. Absolute no chance. So, end of the day is... Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., you are our Belly of the Week award winner. Congratulations, young man. It's going to be the last thing you're going to win in your career. Now, moving on, guys, we've really got a couple of fights we could discuss if you wish. Next week, we've got the card from Japan. Kazuto Ioka faces Juan Carlos Rovecchio. next Friday, so that fight's in Japan on Wednesday. Next Friday we've got Anthony Durrell against Badou Jack. Donnie, that was a guy you picked for pound stardom. How do you see that fight going?
It's right up there with my Seth Mitchell versus Jonathan Banks pick right there.
That was bad. That was really bad. Well, give it to me then. Durrell, Jack, who are you voting for? It's got to be Jack, obviously.
Oh, obviously. Obviously, I'm riding on Team Jack, yeah.
So,
no, seriously, I'm with Durrell.
Okay. So, anyways, Saturday, as you heard Asif mention, we've got Vladimir Klitschko in action as well. Kurt, mate, you're the big Klitschko fan as well. How you seen that one going?
I think Jennings is going to get stopped. I don't know when. I mean, I heard Asif earlier. I'd like it to be like that, and Vlad to be aggressive. To be honest, he was in the Pulev fight, but that was because Pulev caught him with a punch early on and it shook him up a bit, so he just thought, fuck it, let's go to it. So I just don't see, Jennings is decent at a lot of things, but I just don't see, he's small, he's not particularly quick and he doesn't punch hard, so I just don't see him being able to do much to Vlad, and hopefully Vlad, goes for him, being on American soil for the first time, since the Ibragimov fight, and he puts on a show because he's certainly got the power to put anyone away, so hopefully he goes for it. I'm thinking like a mid-round stoppage, I'd imagine.
Well, not undercard, I notice Saddam Ali returns to action against Francisco Santana. That might be a decent enough wee scrap, guys, in all honesty. I don't think there's anything else really coming. I see Felix Verdejo's fighting in Puerto Rico, a 10-rounder. Marco Antonio Lopez. Other than that, I think we're now going to get to the point.
Does anyone here think, I just want to get it on the record, does anyone think that Jennings might go the distance with Vlad?
No, I don't.
I think
I think he's open.
I think that if he decides to engage, then he's going to get flattened. But I think that he's got the footwork and, he's fast enough to sort of escape Vlad. If, he doesn't want to engage and he just wants to bore the place out and survive, then he will. He'll just run all night because Vlad won't chase him down. Vlad won't leave himself open. So, yeah, he could do that. But if he tries to go for it, then I think Vlad's just going to destroy him.
I think he'll probably come to fight, but I think ultimately he's open down the middle for shots. I don't think his hands are very, very kind of tight together. You need to remember as well as, this is the guy that needed basically a point deduction to beat Mike Perez, actually. Without it, the fight would have been a draw. You're talking about the cream of the heavyweight division he's fighting here, and a massive, massive guy at the same time. He's experienced. But He's experienced level. I mean, he hasn't got the experience levels. How's he going to get inside those tentacles? How's he going to get in within distance?
I mean, that's the $1 million question. I understand that, and I know that it's going to be hard for him. But I'm just thinking that at some point, Vlad's got to show some signs of age. He's an incredible athlete. He's an incredible athletic specimen. He always comes to fights in shape. He's like Froch or Khan or Mayweather or Pacquiao. They're guys that stay in shape all the time. What?
He just mentioned Khan with Vlad. Can we ban him from the show right now, Andy?
He said juicing.
No, I'm just saying, they're guys
steroids.
that they don't blow up between fights. They stay around their fighting weight. All of the Froch and Khan and Mayweather and Pacquiao and some other guys as well, probably Golovkin. They all stay around their fighting weight. They keep training constantly. And I'm just saying, Vlad's the same way. And so, I think that contributes to his longevity. But at some point, I just feel like it's got to run out. But then again, we've seen, George Foreman win the heavyweight championship not being in the best, at least apparent shape. In the heavyweight division and the division being kind of weak as it is, Vlad can reign there probably as long as he wants, but I'm just wondering when he's going to start to, even if he wins, I'm just wondering if we're going to see him win in a way that's a little bit less impressive than we thought, and maybe we're going to start to say, oh, you know what, maybe he's vulnerable, and I think I'll tell you this, I think if Jennings goes the distance with him, I think Deontay Wilder will become more interested in that fight.
I think it's one of those fights where it's hard to say how he's going to get credit, because if he blasts him out of there early, people are just going to say, well, Jennings, he hasn't proved anything anyway. And if he does struggle with him, or maybe it goes 12 and it's a bit of a tough fight, people say obviously he's obviously slips and he's past it or whatever. So I think that's the biggest problem. We don't know how good Jennings really is. He's beaten a couple of good guys, but even the Perez fight, I thought, Perez, he seemed to, tire in the last few rounds, and I just thought Perez should have won that, to be honest, and I expected him to win it, but he got the win, but it was like a workmanlike performance. I just don't see him being good at particularly one good thing to really test Vlad. That's the problem. I think he should be made for Vlad, in my opinion, but if Jennings can take the shots that he's going to be receiving, then, he could be interesting. I mean, Pulev made Vlad throw a lot of punches, and if that fight had gone, long, then who knows if Vlad's stamina would have held up, we just don't know.
I take it, Donny, do you think Jennings has got a chance, do you think?
I think he has a chance to make it interesting. I think that he could put up a respectable performance where we'd be saying, wow, this guy has done better than most recent, even semi-recent Klitschko opponents have done. I think that he could put up a good showing, and as far as I remember, and if anyone has any counter-example, I would welcome to hear it, but I've seen a lot of Jennings' fights. I've never actually seen him hurt bad. I mean, maybe slightly buzzed, maybe once or something, but I think maybe there was one shot where he backed off a little bit against, I think it was Bowie Tupo or something, but like that. But I mean, basically, I've never seen him really hurt. And if Vlad can't hurt you, then, and you're going to be able to go those rounds with him, in the late rounds, if he wears down a little bit, I mean, we all know he does always have the chin. So I mean, there's always a chance for everybody, every fighter really, and you don't even have to be that big of a puncher.
I think the biggest problem that he's going to have is, to my knowledge, he hasn't really fought a real big man. He's not very tall himself.
No,
not in
he has
heavyweight.
not. He hasn't fought anybody of that size and skill.
He's fought guys around his height, which, he's a big guy. He's like 6'2", I think. But, compared to guys like Wilder, Vlad, Tyson Fury, he's small by today's standards. So we haven't seen how he's going to deal with that. I mean, when he's fighting a guy who's 6'1", 6'2", it's going to be a big difference for him. But, this is... It's for me, from what I can see, he's taken his fight a bit too early. That's how I'm looking at it. He needs to be in there with someone like a Fury or even a Wilder, and then
that's the real problem in the heavyweight division, is that these contenders aren't being matched with the contenders. They're basically all the top contenders are all avoiding each other and fighting lesser opposition, because at the end of the day, Vlad needs to keep earning a living. He needs to fight somebody. And so they're hoping that basically, all right, I'm going to beat on this guy that's a little slightly inferior to me, and you're going to beat on this guy that's slightly inferior to you, and I'm just going to hope that I win the lottery and Vlad picks me. You know what I mean? They're not willing to test their skills against each other to earn the right to fight Vladimir Klitschko, because it's too much of a risk. And Jennings won that lottery, right? I mean, Vlad right now could be fighting Fury, he could be fighting Wilder, he could be fighting. He could be fighting a lot of people, but right now he chose Jennings. So I mean, but if they were testing themselves, then I think these guys would be more well equipped to actually, when they get in the ring with Vladimir Klitschko, actually compete. But because they're ducking each other, because basically everyone from Klitschko being number 1, everyone from number 2 to number 10 is avoiding each other. When they actually get in the ring with Vlad, they're not ready for it, and I think that's the biggest problem.
So we'll find out about it next week. I think it'll be pretty much dominant, and I think it will be probably a mid to late round stoppage, I think, for Vladimir Klitschko. That being the case, just to let the listeners know, is next week is your final opportunity on this podcast to discuss all things about the May 2nd fight. We will be discussing
your only fucking opportunity.
Aye. Well, obviously we need to discuss the fight the following night as well, I suppose, so. But anyways...
Well, Andy.
Yo.
Talking of May 2nd, for all the Mayweather fans out there, I know that the hordes of my followers love the betting talk. There is a horse tomorrow in the 320 at Pontefract called Money Team. So Chad Hogan could be getting a few quid on that, and it's 12 to 1.
Wait, what's that?
There's a horse tomorrow called Money Team, and it's running in England tomorrow at 3
Someone should tweet that to Floyd Mayweather, see if he backs millions on it.
I've tweeted it to him before. It don't win very often, this horse, to be honest. It's won 4 times in 22 outings, but I have tweeted him before.
What are the odds on him tomorrow?
12 to 1.
I would love to see Floyd putting his life savings on that horse and it fucking comes up lame or something like that, you know. Yeah, we need to fight a quadrilogy with fucking with Pacquiao. But anyways, as I say, next week is going to be the one and only time we're going to get a final chance to discuss all things about May 2nd. We'll be discussing the fighters by name. We'll have a couple of fights to review next week. I'd like to thank the panel, Kurt Ward, Donny Baseball, Adam Smith and Alex Morris. I'd like to thank the callers, Sean Rigby, Rocco, etc. And Asif for his part. I'd like to thank the listeners. And for the Twitter questions, I'm your host, Andy Patterson, and we'll see you next week. All the best.
Cartwright's retirement.
Cock nose twat.